I want to give Judge Janine and Kimberly Guilfoyle a chance to respond to this. I mean, it's not a legal issue, but from a human point of view, my goodness.
Well, first of all, I've lost a house in a flood years ago, and you know the shame of this is that these people have been moved around 3 years ago, living in trailers, moving again. I mean, I just worry about their mental health. I worry about their ability to be able to get their lives back together, making sure the families stay together as well.
You know, you feel for them and that you feel almost so helpless, but at least people are responding this time around.
Well, you hope so. You hope that it works, and you hope that we've learned from the lessons of the past, and that we're more prepared this time so people don't have to sustain the tragedies that they did last time.
Okay, now with these bringing these brilliant legal minds in on the case that has captivated the attention of so many millions of you and us, the case of Caylee Anthony, Orlando, Florida, missing now the child, now 3 years old. If she's still with us, she's been missing more than 2 months. Despite the fact that her mother, Casey, is back behind bars, you know, her bail has been revoked. Hundreds of volunteer searchers turned out today, in an effort that was organized by our pals at EcuSearch. You remember them? They're looking for the missing child. Among them, our friend Natalie Holloway's mom, Beth, among the volunteer searchers. And that despite the fact that Casey Anthony now stands accused on various fraud charges, the mother, in addition to the original child neglect and lying to the authorities charges, but her parents continue angrily to deny that Casey, the mother, killed her little girl. Listen.
She hasn't been blackballed in all of this, and that the media's playing right into it. And who's suffering? This little girl's suffering, because every time you guys print something stupid out there about, you know, people coming and saying that Casey's a liar, you know, a liar doesn't make her a murderer.
Let me ask Jose Baez. He joins us on the phone. Her daughter's attorney. He's a fine attorney. We like him. But Jose, you know, does she protest too loudly?
Well, you know, put someone in this situation and you don't know how they're going to react. There's no playbook for what happens when your granddaughter goes missing and you're thrown into the spotlight the way she has been. So no, you know, I think she's showing the love for her daughter, and she's showing what she's feeling in her gut and what her instinct is telling her, and that's what I think you're seeing. Unfortunately, she's in the middle of a nightmare.
She really is. But how are you feeling in your gut, Jose, now that the bond for your client has been revoked? I thought you and Leonard Padilla had a deal, but her bond on the $500,000 bond on the first charge is now revoked. Plus, she's got an additional bond on these fraud charges when she was kiting someone else's check. Do you feel that your client is being pressured in an unreasonable way by authorities?
Well, what I think, first of all, you know, as far as the bond's concerned, Mr. Padilla came down. He gave me his word that after his 15 minutes of fame was over, he was going to stick to his word and he was going to keep her out. I think it's still a little too soon to tell on that. Mr. Padilla may come through and may still decide to rewrite the bond. We're not exactly sure exactly what his intentions or what his plans are.
Okay, Jose, hold on a second. I've got to take one of these pesky breaks. I'll come back to you right on the other side. Are there other potential suspects in the Caylee Anthony case? Right after this, Craig investigates. Live in Orlando, we want to take a shot, Mike. Leonard Padilla, the bondsman, is obviously on the left. That's Brother Craig on the right. We're going to have Leonard respond to Jose Baez's provocative notion that Leonard broke his word about revoking the bond. But first, I want to talk about what Craig has been investigating today. Let's roll the side of the grandma, Cindy Anthony, about that rotten smell.
I felt rotten, whatever it was, something decomposing in there. Maybe someone put a body in the car after it was towed to the tow yard. Why don't you talk to them about their security? If there was
that seems highly improbable, Cindy.
No odor in the car when it was towed down to the tow yard. Think about it. Then what happened after it was towed there? I was just there today and talked to him. He said he gave a statement that it wasn't. It was with a week later is when it started smelling on their lot.
She may be in profound denial. Grandma Cindy Anthony strongly saying that the family feels someone else may have been involved in hurting little Caylee or framing Casey Anthony. One of the people most often named, at least on the internet, as a potential suspect, Casey's former fiancé Jesse Grund, the ex-cop whose dad Richard spoke exclusively with Brother Craig to defend his son from insinuations that Jesse, the ex-cop, may have had something to do with Caylee's disappearance.
Geraldo, I'm here with Richard Grund. Richard is Jesse Grund's father. Jesse, of course, is the former fiancé of Casey Anthony. Richard, tell me why you're breaking your silence at this time.
I'm personally tired of watching my son get dragged through the mud and being falsely accused of things, and I just decided it was time for me to tell the world what I know about my son. They're saying that Jesse's involved, and we received information this week that they're even thinking about saying that he's the one that did it.
He's the one that killed Caylee Anthony, is responsible for her disappearance?
He's responsible for her disappearance and supposedly planted that evidence in the car.
You're saying that's not true?
It's absolutely not true and not even possible.
Tell me about your son's relationship with Casey Anthony. How long did it go on, and what was the relationship characterized?
Initially, the relationship was a short one-date thing. Then she notified Jesse that she was pregnant and he was the father. And Jesse immediately stepped up and was willing to take responsibility for little Caylee. Then when Caylee was born in August of 2005, he had DNA testing done and found out that he had 0% probability of being Caylee's father.
Reports have it that Caylee Anthony was an unwanted child. What do you think about that?
Not as far as we saw. When Jesse was originally approached about being the father, he suggested they put her up for adoption and give her to a family that could raise her, being that they were both so young. And Casey said that wasn't an option. And from what I saw, Casey loved being a mom. She loved having Caylee in her life.
Phone records that were leaked indicate that Casey Anthony called her mom on June 16th 6 times, and she called your son Jesse that same day. And that's notable because of the spike in phone calls. Can you characterize that conversation?
Yeah, I can tell you the conversation because Jesse told it to me and he told it to the authority. She was complaining about her boyfriend Tony and about her living arrangements and the fact that her mother wasn't going to give her the house and now she didn't know where she was going to live. It wasn't a panic phone call.
It wasn't a panic phone call. It wasn't I did something terribly wrong.
Not at all.
Now, there was another phone call that was noted from Casey to Jesse where Jesse claims that he heard Caylee Anthony in the background.
Jesse still claims that he heard Caylee in the background, but he couldn't testify to 100% surety of hearing her. He was reasonably sure, but he still believes he heard her in the background.
Jesse spent a lot of time with the Anthony family. What has he told you about that family dynamic? How did Casey get along with her parents?
When Casey would sit at the dinner table with me waiting for Jesse to get home from work, she would talk about how her mother controlled her and they fought all the time and she couldn't make her own decisions and she wanted to have her own family. She wanted to get out.
She made it clear to you specifically that she did not want to be in that home anymore.
Absolutely. She tried to get my son to get an apartment with her and get a house even before they got married. That's how badly she wanted out of it. I'm going to believe until somebody either shows me a body or DNA evidence that she's gone, I'm going to continue to hold on to hope.
We're going to just hold on to the hope that Casey did something and hit her, or this is some little game that she decided to play on her parents or whatever, and that someday we'll see Caylee again. If not, well, then I'll see her again at another time.
We'll be right back with more.